Horizon filmed him at the World's Fair in New York. He's Arthur Clarke.
Trying to predict the future is a discouraging and hazardous occupation because the prophet invariably falls between two stools. If his predictions sound at all reasonable, you can be quite sure that in 20 or at most 50 years, the progress of science and technology has made him seem ridiculously conservative. On the other hand, if by some miracle a prophet could describe the future exactly as it was going to take place, his predictions would sound so absurd, so far-fetched, that everybody would laugh him to scorn.
Will you help me defend the refuge?
Anything for these noble animals. So like us.
However, the most intelligent inhabitants of that future world won't be men or monkeys. They'll be machines, the remote descendants of today's computers. Now, the present-day electronic brains are complete morons, but this will not be true in another generation. They will start to think, and eventually they will completely outthink their makers. Is this depressing? I don't see why it should be. We superseded the Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal men, and we presume we're an improvement. I think we should regard it as a privilege to be stepping stones to higher things. I suspect that organic or biological evolution has about come to its end, and we are now at the beginning of inorganic or mechanical evolution, which will be thousands of times swifter. But even if the future does belong to the robots, our bodies and our brains still have immense untapped potentialities. For example, to cope with the information explosion, we may develop a machine for recording information directly onto the brain, as today we can record a symphony on tape.
It sounds like we're getting remarkably close to like the AI companion from the movie Her. How close is Project Astra to that vision?
We're moving into our agent-based era. Our vision for universal digital assistants. We're experimenting with ways borrowed from human memory and the way the hippocampus works about how does one decide what is a salient or useful thing to remember.
Do you worry about people kind of becoming too dependent on these AI relationships?
I could imagine these companions becoming really fun to interact with, but obviously there are important ethical issues around attachment to these systems and the social implications of that.
Still pretty unsettling, isn't it? Like, we can't escape ourselves even when we create these amazing new technologies.
Yeah, that's the thing about AI. It's a mirror to ourselves, isn't it? It shows us who we are, both the good and the bad.
Wow, that's a powerful way to put it. AI is a mirror.
And it's a mirror that's getting more sophisticated all the time.
Yeah, more sophisticated. And maybe, just maybe, more honest than we'd like it to be.
Well, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's exactly what we need. A little honesty.
A little digital honesty to help us see ourselves more clearly.
Exactly. Makes you think, doesn't it? Like, even with all this advanced AI, all this progress, we're still, grappling with these basic human biases. It really raises some big questions about the future we're building,
Yeah, definitely. Like, we often talk about AI as this objective force, this rational force, but clearly it's not that simple. It can inherit our biases. It can even amplify them, right?
Right, exactly. And the more we integrate AI into our lives, think about it. It's already in healthcare, finance, social media, even law enforcement, and it's just going to keep growing, right?
Right, it's everywhere. And as it gets more powerful, the consequences of biased algorithms, well, they could be huge. They could be really far-reaching.
Couldn't developers still find ways to sneak in their own biases? They're the ones building these systems.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, what's to stop them from rigging the game, so to speak?
It's a valid concern, for sure.